Hey, what's up, Nerd fam? This is your boy Gashan. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, we are talking about Avengers Doomsday. Yes, it's been a while, and I figured we'd come back to something like this, because obviously comics are near and dear to my heart, and obviously the properties that are based on them. Is this going to be the rebirth of Marvel, or more of the same? Specifically, the MCU. Now, they released some teaser trailers. One about Steve Rogers, one about Thor, and then, more recently, one that centers on the X-Men, specifically Professor Xavier, Magneto, and Cyclops. Now, obviously, that's the one that was kind of breaking the internet because we haven't seen those three, and especially because Cyclops had a very comic book accurate costume. Now, three of these don't really tell you a lot about the plot. And obviously there have been a lot of leaks or rumors, let's just say that, because that's what they are. We don't know if it's actually, but rumors about a plot being that Steve Rogers is kind of the key to all of this, because when he didn't return back to his time, it created some type of rift in the space-time continuum, and it caused incursions, which are now having Earths destroy themselves, which is why Doomsday, apparently his planet that happened on his. So now he's coming to solve the issue. Now, obviously, in Steve Rogers' trailer, we see him with a baby. We see him riding a motorcycle, him looking at the costume, kind of like reminiscing. And then we see Thor, where right now something bad is coming to the point where he's praying to the All-Father so he can not just fight, but also give his daughter Love, the one that we see back from Thor, Love and Thunder, right? What he can give her besides just fighting. Like he wants to hope to get the strength to solve the problem that's happening right now, which obviously is either Doom or something else, who knows. And then we get the X-Men trailer, which shows Professor Xavier having a conversation, playing a chess match with Magneto, and then Cyclops taking off the visor and giving the full blast of his optic beams. And there are actually Sentinels moving in the back, if you get a chance to really see, which is cool as well. I don't know. Funny thing is, I have an inkling that those two things aren't happening at the same time, and perhaps that's a flashback. I don't know. That's just my thing. That perhaps those two things in that teaser trailer aren't happening all at once. That's what I'm thinking. But I could be wrong. So, while a lot of excitement was drawn by those, because number one, having Thor and Steve there, you have some of the OG Avengers from the films. Amazing. People always want to see Chris Evans return as Captain America, and people always love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. And then getting a chance to see some of these X-Men, specifically the way Cyclops looks, gives people a lot of hope, and they're going like, wow, perhaps they're actually listening to us. Perhaps this is going to be a very good movie. And I'm going to say this, Russo brothers, out of all the MCU films, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame have all been very entertaining. I have my reservations about Captain America Civil War, if you've ever watched that video. But as far as just the entertainment value, it's always extremely high. So there is a high chance this is going to be a very, very entertaining film. But will it solve all the issues? Because this film is not going to be in isolation. Remember, this is part of the overall MCU universe, which means this film will affect everything going forward. Which means the Russos can't just make this film. I think the Secret Wars, I think it's also them as well that comes out after this. Can't just make these films and then everything else is just pure and utter trash, or it's gonna be more of the same. But there are a few things that this film, or even leading up to this film, is very different. There aren't a whole bunch of films that lend to the build-up, like phases 1, 2, and 3 were to serve for Thanos, right? Everything else afterwards has kind of been the Wild West, directionless, and people just really didn't care about these individual characters. I'm not just talking about the audience, I'm talking about the people who are making the movies. And right now, the hype for this movie is going to be built on the teaser trailers, because as we know, or I'll say as we can probably predict, based off of what they're doing here, there's going to be a lot more of these leading up to the release that's going to be, I believe, in December. 2026. I could make sure that I'm right about that. And also Spider-Man Brand New Day, which will undoubtedly also talk about that going on too. And I guess we'll have conversations about that as well in a different video. I think it's too early to say Marvel is back. Let's just go there. We have to actually watch the movie before we start saying these things. Are there cool visuals that we see? Yeah. But it's not enough to say Marvel is back. I think for anything to be back, we have to have a trend of great quality. Then I'll be willing to say that the MCU, pardon me, I should say the MCU is back. I'm willing to do that there. A lot of people who are already jumping on that are either shills or delusionally hopeful. Because I always want these things to do well, but just so happens that they haven't been. And that's just because of the direction that they've taken. Will this solve all the issues? In this film, they have to almost rewrite the entire MCU. And because of everything that we've seen so far after Phase 3 has been an utter mess. And really, if any of that stuff is left over, I'm not sure how they, like, especially some of the big things like Eternals and all that stuff, like, you would have to literally erase so many of these things and start over. And I'm wondering if that means new casting for certain people, because that would also make sense. But as of right now, it does have cool visuals. I think the movie has a high degree to be extremely entertaining. It'd be good to see a lot of these people coming back. I'm hearing that this is going to be an over 3-hour movie, which I think all of us will love, especially if it's filled with really good stuff, great characters that either we have seen on the screen already, or maybe haven't, especially in the same room. Because then it'll really feel like a gigantic crossover event that we've seen in comics. Because in the comics, it's people, we'll have all these different, like, standalones, like a Spider-Man, and then an X-Men, and all of a sudden, they gotta come together, and it creates all this really good chemistry, especially because all of their individual experiences get combined into one. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these characters don't have too much experience, but good writing can make a lot of those problems go away. And that's what I'm really interested in seeing. So let me know, after watching those 3 trailers, what do you think? How are you receiving this movie? And do you think this is going to be the savior for the MCU? Until then, let's keep on waiting on these trailers and enter the nerd.